Hello and thanks for joining us. I am Isabel Masozera with the headlines. Rwanda is currently hosting the 11th Joint Permanent Commission between Rwanda and Uganda. Also coming up, the bilateral relations between Rwanda and Mozambique in the business sector has become one of the pillars of growth of the investment sectors for both countries. Thanks for joining us on RTV News. We start with Rwanda that is currently hosting the 11th Joint Parliament Commission between the nation and Uganda. The three-day meeting started on Wednesday and will assess the implementation status of the 10th JPC and strategic areas of cooperation between the two countries. Now, while opening the meeting, Shakira Umutoni, the Director General of Africa at the Rwandan Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, noted that the 11th JPC between Rwanda and Uganda is a milestone in the bilateral relations as it demonstrates the renewed commitment that both countries have embarked on to revive historical cooperation. Now, the Ugandan delegation led by Ambassador Eli Kafero also commended the fact that dialogue between the two countries has continued. The last Joint Permanent Commission meeting took place in November last year in Uganda. In more news, the bilateral relationship between Rwanda and Mozambique in the business sector has become one of the pillars of the country's growth for both sides of the borders. Now, courtesy of the programs they have established to facilitate investors. This story comes to us with Adam Squizera.
Aqui o feijão vermelho.
Jontao Tijani is a Mozambican who adds value to agriculture products. After getting informed on the investment opportunities in Rwanda, he decided to register his business, which is mainly based on the food production such as beans, rice, sugar, and others. Jontao Tijani expresses his experience of investing in Rwanda.
If we know Rwanda is an established country in our region, and then it's a good place to start this business, connect RDC, Uganda, all the region in Rwanda. That's why when I came here the first time last month, I did my survey, and I saw that it's a good place to start my business.
Alex Nyamwasa, a Rwandan entrepreneur who invested in the cultivation of macadamia in Mozambique, notes that the role of the cooperation between the two countries in facilitating investment is mentioned as one of the contributions on the trade development of the two countries. If there is no cooperation or unity, there will be no business. That's why there are many Rwandans in Mozambique who all run business. Then we've reached to that level of thinking about broad business, whereas now we have more than 100 Mozambican employers in our various companies. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Professor Jean Chrysostome Ngabitsinze, highlights the role of such business forums on the African continent as one of the main pillars in the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, CFTA.
Business missions between or among countries is a way to promote business among the private sectors across Africa, mainly from Rwanda. We have had some missions abroad and some countries are coming here. So under implementation of CFTA is very important because the business community must be them first to implement what we are discussing in terms of competition, doing business, investment, because they are the main beneficiaries. So it's very important that they see the work being done by politicians, by our heads of state, by ministers, in order to be able to understand what is required to invest in one country or another. Meaning that the partnership is under implementation. Of course, going to increase because if you see the current volume and the value in terms of doing business between Rwanda and Mozambique, need more push to have more investment into both sides.
Rwanda and Mozambique are the countries that have been cooperating in various sectors, especially in peace and security restoration in the Cabo Delgado province of this country. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Now moving on, the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources has described productivity of the lakes in the country compared with the lakes we have is shameful. That is what they're saying. We get more from Prince Manzi.
It is a project that would develop the value chains in aquaculture, fishery and horticulture sectors in Rwanda. Personnel in these sectors say that they face different challenges. The challenge the youth usually face is the lack of capital, and on the market, fruits and vegetables are few. Agriculture personnel, specifically in fishery and horticulture, will be trained and supported in their projects. On the other hand, the Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Dr. Ildefonso Musafiri, states that the productions of these sectors are shameful, and yet Rwanda has many lakes. We have many lakes in Rwanda, but it is shameful of how they are not being used efficiently to increase the production. In this project, all lakes qualified for aquaculture will be used and will develop residents through fishery. The project will help in preparing and understanding these processes for benefiting the nation. The implementation of the Kwihaza project will be conducted by the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources and Enabel, a Belgian development agency. The Enabel resident representative in Rwanda, Dak Deprez, states that this project will be of a great importance in the development of the agriculture sector.
We have different types of beneficiaries. We have the smallholder farmers in pond fishing, but there's also the larger semi-industrial and cage farming on the lakes, which all we would like to help improve their capacity. And one of the elements that comes back is human capacity, access to finance, access to fish feed. And so we want to tackle these elements in a holistic way, but also the elements of connecting producers to markets, to assure the market access.
This is a 4-year program funded by the European Union and Luxembourg, worth 15.5 million euros. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
The Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning points out that cooperation and collaboration facilitates accessibility to funds that can help deal with the effects of climate change. Jessica Agasaro for this report.
Some of the farmers in Gasabo district mentioned their worry with the swamps, explaining that the water level is too high and they are not able to get the crops they want.
In this swamp, we grow corn, wheat, tomatoes, carrots and sweet potatoes. Water from 3 districts comes here and fills it up, and it overflows the production. If fixed, maybe that is when we could get a lot of production.
Dealing with the effect of climate change is one of the topics discussed in the meeting that brought together the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning and their partners, including embassies, companies, and international organizations working in finance.
No, climate change is a reality. We were really facing global climate issues, and Rwanda is not spared in that fight. So what we are trying to discuss this time around is to say, okay, as you do public financial management, how do you start capturing some key indicators that will be able to track to build a climate resilient country and economy? So, but you don't stop at that. You get into how do you mitigate, how do you adopt, but how do you finance? So with our development partners this morning, we're going to be having an opportunity to discuss to say, okay, these are the challenges, this is the envelope that we need. How can you finance us to get into implementation? And how can we work with you to leverage on your global network, 1, to get the financing, but 2, to get the technical support, because this is a new drive. The learning curve is so steep, so we really need to get the right people and expertise, or people who have been in that space, to come and work with us to mitigate and adopt and hence build a resilient economy.
The purpose is to discuss how public property management of the state can be improved in order to help the country achieve sustainable development. The Director General of Rwanda Environment Management Authority, Kabera Juliet, announced that in dealing with the effect of climate change, there is a plan to clean up all the swamps in the city of Kigali as one of the ways to prevent flood.
Feasibility studies, we are already recruiting companies, private people to come and participate in this program, restoration activities. We are starting with a set of 5 wetlands in Kigali alone. The former industrial area in Gikondo, in Nyabugogo, in the wetland around the La Colombière, for people who know Kigali well, Utexirwa side. So there are 5 wetlands. And I think this would be a simpler definition of what a program is. We started with around 8 million, but we have seen more partners joining because it looks like a bigger vision. So most of you, we have talked to them, and you're interested and you're adding more financing.
Jean-Michel Swalen, the Director of Cooperation at the Belgium Embassy in Rwanda, declares that the government partners, including Belgium, are ready to continue supporting Rwanda.
We have an important meeting dedicated to climate change, and we will see how we can scale up climate finance in Rwanda, but also how we can integrate climate activities and climate decisions in the budget, in the public finance management, because as you know, the budget is the instrument to achieve the goals you have set for Rwanda, the national strategy of transformation, and public finance management is a key instrument. It's transversal, actually, and with the public finance management, we can allocate money to those goals, to those activities. We can track also those activities, and we can also assess the results achieved in climate activities, mitigation or adaptation to climate change.
According to REMA, extreme temperature have been observed in the past few days before it started raining, reaching 32 degrees, which is one of the effects of climate change. Research is being done to show that if there is no change done, the world will continue to face the effect of climate change. Jessica Agasaro, RTV News.
Thank you, Jessica, for that insightful report. We continues on matters of preserving the environment. Motorists with electric motorcycles commend the easy access to battery stations and believe that this will encourage the use of environment-friendly motorcycles.
On Wednesday, Upper Sound, the company that delivered electric motorcycles for the first time in Rwanda, opened a new station in the city center under the mosque. This was good news to the motorists with electric bikes.
We are very happy because the battery station was behind Sehashika, and if you run out of battery, you had to go push your bikes until you get there. To this point, these bikes can ride up to 60 kilometers, and Ampasad has tried to put many battery stations in different places in the city. We don't struggle like it used to be because now in town you can get a re-up. When we first started, we used to get the battery from far. And if one is over, for you to get another one was a real issue. However, we are happy that the battery station is now near.
One of the founders of Upper Sound LP Tilev says that they will continue to provide services to their clients.
We respect our clients a lot. We know they work very hard. We know that they want a really strong and good product. We're just happy to say that we're building this product for them here in Kigali. The batteries are made here in Kigali, and we ensure that they have a very cost-effective solution that's really reliable for them, and so that they can have a much better experience on our vehicles than their old vehicles.
The newly opened motorcycle battery station is located at the existing SP gas station. Yves Legros, The director of SP company in Rwanda reiterates that this is another contribution that SP makes toward the transport of vehicle that uses energy that does not pollute the atmosphere.
Everywhere around the world, oil marketing companies are thinking about, how to be useful to electrical vehicles. And therefore, I think, for us partnering with M% is basically a first step into our transformation. But, I think, what SP is doing in partnering with M% is not very different from what, the international oil majors do in Western Europe or in America. And I think, it's very interesting to see that, Rwanda is at the forefront of this energy transition, and SP has to be a part of it.
The company Hapasan has been in Rwanda since 2017, and it sells electric motorcycles and also makes batteries for those motorcycles. It is a factory that employs about 200 people, and currently there are about 1,000 Hapasan motorcyclists. Jessica Agasaro, RTV News.
Thank you once again, Jessica. A reminder to all of us that protecting the environment is a collective responsibility. In more news, one of the organizations responsible for combating gender-based violence believes that changes should be made to the law regarding the punishments that are given to people who defile children. Olivon Tete has this report.
A mother with named Claudette has 5 children. She says that one of her children got pregnant at the age of 16 by a 19-year-old boy. After this case, when her child went for a checkup at the hospital, the guy was imprisoned. The mother says that even though the boy was arrested, it raised other issues, as she explains.
Amaze gufungwa byamuviremo guhitagarika kwiga.
After being imprisoned, my daughter dropped out from school because her schoolmates would blame her for the imprisonment of the young guy who impregnated her that resulted into trauma. She used to go to the prison to see the guy, but they wouldn't let her see him. That severely affected her, and at that time, she was pregnant and she was not eating properly, and this affected her. Until now, when you mention anything regarding that guy, she cries because they were in good terms. That situation makes me feel bad, and I'm planning to send her back to school. But I wonder, how will she return to school with that condition? This mother also says that apart from the impact on her child, this causes other various problems that she thinks could be solved differently. Imagine that child that will be born to my girl. She will not have her full rights. Let's say that the guy gets an imprisonment of 25 years or 10 years. You as the mother of the girl, you will have to take care of both of them. My wish is that families should discuss and reach to an agreement so that both the mother and her baby can get the justice they deserve. These are some of the obvious problems arising from the implementation of this law, number 69/2019. However, some lawyers say that there should be a way to revise the punishments assigned to those who committed these crimes of child defilement, depending on the age group they are in.
These people should be punished. We are not saying that they shouldn't be punished by punishing those who committed child defilement. But those if the crime committed was done by adolescents, or let's say young people in the same age category. Let's say a guy of 19 impregnates a girl of 17 years. The judge should judge accordingly, especially regarding this case of adolescents. We are not requesting amendment to those other people who committed this crime to be forgiven. I want the law to include such changes so that these adolescents shouldn't be punished like adults, because in terms of the society, such punishments to adolescents resulted to various consequences.
Through the program of assisting health facilities on how they should help victims of violence, a program of Avega Agahozo, an association of the widows of the genocide, through this project, some issues were revealed that need to be reconsidered. Chezimana Cleopatra, the coordinator of this project, says that their aim is to build a Rwandan society free from violence.
Our
wish is to contribute to a safe community without violence. That is why we request a change in the implementation in the law of punishing those who committed child defilement. Our request is that members of the civil society organization and even public institutions should deeply analyze this article so that the victims can receive proper justice. We do not support that those who committed crimes shouldn't be punished. We want them to be punished, but we want them to do it according to the age of the accused. The law number 69/2019, Article 4, states that whoever is convicted of the crime of child defilement should be punished with a sentence of 20 to 25 years, and when this is followed by cohabitation as husband and wife, the sentence is life imprisonment. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. The United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs has collaborated with the Ministry of ICT and Innovation to bring to life a workshop intent on capacity building for the public servants on how to deliver digital services efficiently. Precious Kirezi brings us this report.
Service providers that have integrated digital means into their businesses, as well as those that have yet to take the leap, shared the view that despite the progress made amidst transitioning to the digital era, there is still a long way to go.
Not all residents are well acquainted with the digital era we live in, and that puts them at a disadvantage.
Unstable connections require waiting for long periods of time, and most people have complained about how long it takes to get tax documentation, especially given its urgency. The public and private sector workers participating in the workshop are being taught how to make the most of technology to retain and receive information from different sources in a fair, instant, and transparent way. One of the UN officials in attendance expressed the view that governments ought to collaborate with other sectors to maximize digital literacy among their people.
I'm very happy to be here. It's my first trip in Rwanda. But I'm actually very motivated by what I see in the digital development landscape here and across sectors and across disciplines. It is actually very important for governments to work with different stakeholders, including the private sector, the civil society, as well as the UN, that we hope we can work together to really deliver, including the most vulnerable groups.
Idembo's Director of Partnerships has pointed out that lessons learned from the workshop will help improve the quality of services provided. We will increase the services we offer, but the people will have to improve their digital skills to make the most of it. We do in-house and external navigations to encourage people to do things themselves, especially those with smartphones and internet access in Kigali. The Ministry of ICT's Director General in charge of digital transformation has re-emphasized the focus of the workshop and shared his thoughts.
Infrastructure enhancements develop the country as a whole. Another area that needs urgent development is the data governance framework and retaining information. We plan to digitize all the services that were left behind.
One of the most eminent resolutions of the workshop is to provide residents with measures that equip them in a better position to make the most of digital means. Precious Chidezi, RTV News.
That's all we had for you today. Thanks for watching. I'm Isabel Masozera. Do keep it RTV.